Hey.
You! The two of you.
Right. How are you?
She's your friend. She knows that you're not great.
I'll get to be together. Everyone's safe. So it works for now.
Going with the flow.
Didn't think I'd end up basically a cop.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good at everything you do, Rosita.
No.
I do miss home. I miss going inside the walls. I miss the freedom that we used to have. When Alexandria was fixed back up then. When people have choices, and that's good, you know?
You're thinking about coming back to
I'm excited
Alexandria?
about the future.
Yeah, I guess I am. Eugene, what is it still?
What Aunt B told him.
I was thinking about when we first met. And how I was lying to you. I knew what it was about Washington, D.C.
It's the same here, in a way.
Eugene, what is it?
He doesn't want to lie again.
I saw her. She just broke up with me. Screw.
Eugene. For him to be forced to lie, it has to be, you know, so disturbing and so bad. He's feeling guilty about it because yes, he lied before a lot of times, but he listened to what Aunt B said.
All the troopers that came back with us, they're working on reinforcing the water tower right now.
You want to with him?
Yeah.
Daryl! Hey. I was wondering when he'd come back.
Oh.
Hey, hold up.
It's okay. How do you know when?
You know what?
When it's time to walk away?
To leave.
Do what you want to do.
Is it okay if we hand out some supplies? We have more than enough. Food, fuel.
Sure.
You're gonna ask for
did you
something in exchange.
Hey, Daryl, look what I got.
We
Oh my God.
saw
They're gonna pass out some food.
we saw Daryl coming back.
Must be hard to be a kid here.
Grew up on the road. Different kind of kid.
Your friend, she like torture or something out here?
She likes our freedom.
But she used to be really special. Different. It's going through hard times now, but we'll be back up and running.
CommonWealth ain't perfect, bro.
What you think?
What do you know about it, Martha?
Just don't get too comfortable. The only reason you're out of your armor is because someone thought it'd be good for appearances. You get your role played. I got mine.
Mercer, he knows a lot of stuff and he's not okay with all of what he knows. I think that he can be a good ally at some point.
Serious, Jerry? Pineapple on pizza makes no sense. Pizza.
For sure! It's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay.
Nervous twitch?
Yes.
Lucky coin.
You get out all this.
You know that he's ambitious.
You don't know me very well.
You know, you're smart enough to know a good offer. And I'm smart enough to know just pissed you off.
You haven't answered my question.
Be honest with her.
The first time I went to Alexandria, I could see it. The potential. Have you ever imagined being able to drop your son off for his freshman year at college?
Tried to build it.
Because you and I see things the same way. Imagine the world we want. Hold in your mind. Now picture the power of 50,000 CommonWealth workers helping to make that vision a reality.
The music, you know, going with his words, it's really like you're trying to hypnotize her with that idea of a future. Your snake. Something is wrong. They did it right and quick.
Imagine not having to deal with this every time that alarm goes off. Gotta keep building.
Stop! Let's go!
What is it?
Hold on. You're not gonna always knowledge. Got me?
Yeah.
Left face!
Is obeying to these orders You can see that they're really...
The Hilltop's gonna pass on your offer. Can I ask why?
You don't want to obey to anyone.
Everything costs something.
Aaron. Yes, you're desperate because you're thinking also about Alexandria.
Want some raspberry goodness of the inside scoop variety.
No!
It's not exactly black raspberry, but
You remembered?
I'm so sorry, Max. For my ungentlemanlike behavior, for running away, for not listening.
You needed time.
I was.
Come on.
Let Ormsby get inside my head. It was an infiltration of the most epic proportions. He is a snake. Like a worm.
He tried with Maggie
I
also.
never read my manuscript.
Manuscript?
I'm writing a novel.
Is a sepulcher involved?
Obviously.
She remembered also.
Did it take place in
Carpathian Mountains, yes.
You let her read it?
I thought it was you.
I know, but Eugene, after all that time we spent together, everything we told each other, how could you not know? It wasn't me.
He wanted to believe.
Used to rejection, BDQ, didn't even realize it was rejection some of the time. Suffice it to say, it happened a fair amount. But when I got here and she didn't
reject you.
I so badly wanted this to be real. Anyway, I never meant to hurt you, Max. But my intent does not excuse my impact. How can
That's
I
a
make
good
this
one.
up to you? Will you allow me to
Sentence,
try?
you know. Fight a little more, Eugene!
Can I read your novel?
You came upon me whilst I was burning the only physical copy. A gumshoe by the name of Steph Portman is caught up in a rollick in the international caper trying to avert a
Steph?
nuclear disaster.
You should meet between the scientists, ramp up the stakes on the nuclear front.
That is exactly what I did.
Oh.
I like old times.
Come on, the two of you.
It's from Judith. Just in case you're making her some evil.
Nah.
I am.
She's leaving.
I'm reading Maggie. Some of the others are coming with me. And you should too. You need to be careful who you trust. You also have to know to ask for help. It's harder than it has ever been, and it doesn't have to be. I respect the hell out of you, but I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry.
They want food, water, security. We can't blame them. But I understand also Maggie who wants her freedom and to not obey to anyone, who doesn't believe into the old system also to rule a place.
It's a worthy effort, Lance.
It's not over. It doesn't have to.
I get why something like that would be appealing to you. Someone needs to run them, right?
Oh, you
Be at your
wanted
discretion.
to be the governor outside, you know?
I'm going to pretend that you were doing this for the good of the CommonWealth rather than for yourself.
I was doing this for you.
If you want to try and make it work, fine. But if your job at home starts to suffer, there will be consequences.
At some point he's gonna kill you, you know, like knife in the back or something like that. A warning or calling for workers?
Aren't you okay?
A plus.
What did she say about Alexandria? You good?
Pamela's on board. In fact, we're going to bring even more people in.
Huh?
Get ready, Aaron. We are going to remake the world.
No, not with you around.
There's a group.
No trailer, no spoiler. That was an interesting episode. We didn't have action moments, you know, if we are thinking about it. No real action things, no real big things, you know, happening. It was really a conversation episode between a lot of different people for a lot of different situations. It was really interesting, all of the conversations about the different systems in place, about Alexandria for sure, about Hilltop, about the CommonWealth, about luck, you know, or not, if these communities survived because of luck or because they are well organized and it's a system which is functioning. For Pamela, you know, to see the security issues of Alexandria, it was a proof that it can't function because it happened also to the old leader right there and it's continuing to happen, so for her it was not that well. Oceanside, she was maybe more convinced, but Oceanside was working with Hilltop, and Hilltop, the main issue, it's Maggie. You know, according to Pamela, it's Maggie, and the fact that Maggie, she doesn't want to work according to the old system. You know, all of that conversation about autocracy or not, the fact that Maggie, she considers that she's not a leader like Pamela. They are both leaders, but one is a leader because of her money, because of her position, and because she continued to apply the old system. And in Hilltop, it's Maggie because of all of what she did for this community. And in Alexandria, they had also this conversation, but it was not with Pamela, it was with Mercer and Daryl, and the fact that Daryl explained that into this community, into Alexandria, they had leaders and not just one leader. So it's really like different systems, different organizations, and they all survived. And the question that they're asking, you know, with this episode, it's, did they survive because of luck? Did they survive because they have good allies? Did they survive because, you know, it happened like that during the fights? They won the good fights. And can it continue to happen like that? Like, can they continue with that organization in place? In Alexandria, Aaron, he considers that they can't continue like that. They need the help of the CommonWealth. In Oceanside, they are saying that they can continue like that because they have other allies. In Hilltop, they consider that they can continue like that because just they already did before, and they don't want to accept that help. The CommonWealth help, I think, like Maggie, you know, that it's coming with other stuff, and stuff that for now she can't understand. That's why, you know, she repeated that question to Hansby, what do you want? What do you really want with the situation? She was not so sure of it, and for good reason. Hansby, he has his own project, you know, with all of that, to be the governor of the communities outside in a way, to have that power. And also she saw that Daryl was obeying to Mercer, was one of the police guys now, and she didn't like that, to see that the ones who were leaders before are now just obeying to orders and for no particular reason, if not because they are into the system, into that old system. They don't have that freedom anymore to do what they want. And Maggie, she doesn't want that. She wants her freedom. And that was also the conversation between Eugene and Rosita, the fact that Rosita, she missed that freedom to be able to go wherever she wants, to do whatever she wants. But she's okay to renounce to that freedom, Rosita, as long as they are safe. But still, she has that hope of maybe coming back to Alexandria one day. And the fact that she wants to stay there, that she feels safe, and that she has hope for the future because of what the CommonWealth is offering to them right there in the CommonWealth, but also to Alexandria, it made me, Eugene, feel bad, you know, about saying the truth, and that's why he continued to lie about the place. He didn't say what happened with Stephanie, fake Stephanie, and all. To Rosita, you know, to the closest person that he has, the closest friend that he has, he didn't say the truth. So it means that he's never gonna say the truth, in fact. If he didn't say it to Rosita, he's not gonna say it at all, until something else is happening. So really see, between a lot of different people, between Pamela, Hornsby, Maggie, Mercer, Daryl, Eugene, Rosita, we had a lot of them, in fact, discussing about the same thing, about the same subject, about system in place and which ones worked in the past and for what reason, and which ones are gonna work in the future and for what reason. It was really interesting. It's also like setting things for the future episodes, who is gonna work with who. We saw that Aaron, he really wants the CommonWealth to help them to rebuild Alexandria, because we saw since episodes that Aaron is not gonna give up on Alexandria. He's gonna try everything to save Alexandria, including working with the CommonWealth. even if right there you can see that there is an issue with Hornsby, and the conversation also that Aaron had with Hornsby, it's telling him that Hornsby, he has his own objectives with that situation, he wants really something from that situation. So that's it for Alexandria. Oceanside, I have to be totally honest with you guys, I almost forgot about Oceanside, but they are really working with Hilltop, so it's great. But if Hilltop is losing some of its people who are going with the CommonWealth now, can it continue, you know, that contract that they made? It's gonna be interesting to see that. For Oceanside part, I mean. And for Hilltop, Maggie, that's gonna be rough to continue to run that place without any help. But at the same time, we know Maggie, we know that she's full of resources, so I believe into it, that it's possible. But we can't forget also that scene that we had about Daryl as a police guy coming to Hilltop, saying to Maggie, we want that. I don't know if it's something or someone, we don't need to do it like that, and Maggie saying, you're doing it like that, you know, that confrontation between these two. During that moment I thought that maybe it was a trap, maybe they were acting, you know, it was a bluff for the CommonWealth. I still think that there is a possibility that it's that, but I believe into it a little less. Now I think that it can be really something like the CommonWealth helped and now they want something or someone, and you have to give that something or that someone in return of the help that they gave you during that moment, for example. Pamela, she's not blind, you know, about Hornsby's intentions. That's great. And he's really acting like a snake. He did it during the last episode with Eugene, manipulating Eugene. And right there he tried to do the same with Maggie. And each time it's by offering to people a future, something to dream, something to continue to have hope. But I can't forget that the guy is doing illegal stuff. We saw that thing, you know, about opium. And he has also this spice, and I still believe, you know, like, this spice, Hornsby was right there, but not Mercer, not Milton, you know, Pamela. Like, I'm still not sure that these persons, this spice, are working for the CommonWealth and not just for Hornsby. I'm still not sure of that. We have still the resistance inside of the CommonWealth to deal with, to work with maybe also at some point. It's still something which can be important because that guy said that we have many of them. And we have Mercer. I'm really wondering about Mercer, what he said to his sister right there. We especially, we can't be, you know, the situation with Hornsby. He didn't want to protect his sister that much, but at the same time he didn't say anything about her, so, and he implied that their places is not that secure. And during the conversations with Daryl during this episode, he implied other stuff. I'm not so sure of Mercer's place into this society. Like, before that we could have seen him as a soldier just obeying to orders, blindly following the orders, and who didn't think by himself or something like that. And the more we are progressing, and the more I think that Mercer is hiding stuff a lot. Eugene and Max during this episode, it was cool, you know, to have that conclusion of the last episode during this one, and that was sweet, so that's great. And we can see that she continued to do radio stuff, and also maybe it can be helpful at some point to talk with Alexandria, to talk with Hilltop. That can be a good thing, you know, for us and for the writers to make her continue to do things like that. That was a pretty cool episode. Like I said, no actions, stuff like that. Maybe some people are gonna think that it was boring, but I don't think at all that it was. On the contrary, I think that it's important to have episodes like that to only talk about the situations and to analyze all of the situations into all of the different communities. That tour, you know, that she made, that was a good occasion for that. but it's also setting stuff for the future really well, like we can really see all of the powers in place, who is functioning how with who, and you know, it's also showing to the characters but also to the viewers that the next war, if we have a war between these communities, it can't be like all times, you know, only fighting with them with guns, with knives and stuff like that, because we are talking about entire communities, we are talking about the CommonWealth, and they insisted a lot during this episode about how many people are into the CommonWealth. They said that number a lot of times, so it was to really imply that you can't fight like that with the CommonWealth. If you're fighting with the CommonWealth with guns and all, you're gonna lose. You have to fight it in another way if you want to fight, and this other way, it can be a political way also. And that's why they talked a lot about the different systems in place. I really think so. It was cool. It was really cool. Tell me, what did you think about it, about all of these situations? I mean, all of these systems in place, in which one you believe the most? In which one I believe the most? For me, I think that it's the system in place in Alexandria, which is functioning, in fact, the most. The idea, you know, behind Alexandria, to have a lot of leaders, not just one, to take the resources to help each other, like they manage to function like that with these ecologic things and all because of what Maggie from Hilltop, you know, gave them, and they want the help also of the CommonWealth to continue to rebuild themselves. So for me, the functionment in which I believe the most is the one of Alexandria, because they want to exist by themselves, to not move, but they want to have allies and to use the resources of everyone, to give also resources to everyone, and they don't want to have only one leader, but really leaders. So that's why I believe into them the most. Into this world, I think that it's a good way to make things function and not having people working for other people, rich, poor, stuff like that, but also to make good alliances with other communities and to not try to eat these communities. I think so. Tell me if you think the same or not. Okay, so it's all for me and for you for today, so it's all for me for now, so bye for now. Bye!
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
Great.